144. The reasoning behind the request is pragmatic. The first two paragraphs of the provisional measures request call for the suspension of Israel's military operations in and against Gaza. Israel's continuing operation in Gaza since the 7th of October attack is the focus of this case. Minister Lamola has recalled the fact that South Africa has condemned the 7th of October attack. Israel says that Palestine and Palestinians are not its target.
It's a new day and a new week, and it is the opportunity for us to make things right and better our lives. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Africa on Pan-African Television. We come to you live from our studios at 48 Swanika Street, right here in Accra, Belinkwe. My name is OHEMAA Echa Ajekum, and of course, I don't do this alone. I'm seated here with the ever formidable, ever insightful,
small, overripe embellishments.
Overripe embellishments indeed. Good morning once again. Good morning, Bless. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm peachy. I'm all right. I'm strong.
High spirits.
Yeah, I'm in high spirits. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing well. I didn't have enough sleep. I'm okay. I'll be fine.
I didn't have enough sleep either. I slept for how many hours? I think around 4.
What were you doing?
I'm a night owl. Yes.
You're a nocturnal.
Yes, I'm nocturnal.
I
so
see.
It's very difficult for me to sleep at night. But I do make up for it during the day.
Yeah.
I sleep for like a few hours during the daytime. But how was your weekend?
I wasn't bad at all. Friday was a normal. Is Friday counted as part of the weekend?
I don't count it. I don't know why people do anyway, but I don't count it.
But anyway, Saturday was a normal, usual day, you know, catching up with myself and other things. And yesterday, our boss, Kwame Owusu-Danso's son, turned 6. So we were there partying, having fun. And I have made a resolution that this year I'm going to attend more of the kids' parties.
Okay.
Ask me why.
Why?
The food.
You had fun.
The food.
The food, I see.
So much to eat, so much to drink. It was fun, and it was very refreshing. I mean, I hadn't done such a thing in a long while. So yeah, and the icing on the cake. Will I even call it the icing on the cake? The disappointments of the day. Ghana, beaten by Cape Verde, and I'm thinking to myself, of all the teams in this world, why will Ghana allow Cape Verde to beat them?
When was it? I think it was on Friday that Ruben interviewed me regarding the chances of the Black Stars as far as the AFCON is concerned. I was quite emphatic and very convinced that I wasn't going to bank my hopes on the Black Stars, because I mean, if you look at the sort of results that we've churned over the last few months, or even years, if you put it, our performances in tournaments. You look at the 2022 World Cup. We didn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup. We look at the 2014 World Cup, where I mean, there's been some form of consistency in our disappointments. Yes, we've been
in the defeats.
Yes, we've been consistently disappointing as a team, as a nation, when it comes to tournaments. So I didn't have any very high expectation of the Black Stars. I didn't think that they were going to be so good. In fact, it would have been a surprise for me if you had actually won yesterday.
I mean, you've made this clear from the onset.
Yes, it would have been a surprise to me if the Black Stars had won like 2-0 or 2. Like, I mean, it would have been a surprise. You understand? So I do not have any expectations at all of the Stars, not to even talk of overblown expectations. No, I have zero expectations of them. I don't think that they are going there to win the trophy. I've seen the team that we've assembled. There's no glimmer of hope. I am not hopeful. The only thing that perhaps I see happening is maybe a miracle. Anything,
divine intervention.
Yes, I mean some form of miracle for the Stars to win an elusive fifth Africa Cup of Nations, title. So there you have them on your screens.
Yeah.
The Black Stars of Ghana doing battle with Cape Verde. Unfortunately, they lost. But
I mean, I was excited when they equalized, and then they just blew me off with it.
Yeah, I mean, some people some people are dissatisfied with refereeing decisions. If you look at our first ball that entered the net, where for me, from where I stood, from what I saw, and from games I'd seen and refereeing decisions, I thought it was going to be a goal, because
I mean, many people attest that it was a goal.
Yes. So according to the referee, one of our players had actually obstructed the view of the goalkeeper, so the goalkeeper was unable to see the ball coming. But then there was a Cape Verdean player who actually he was standing in front of the goalkeeper, quite a distance, about a couple of yards ahead of the goalkeeper, and he actually moved. Our player did not move, but that player moved. He was trying to intercept the ball and he wasn't successful at that, and then the ball entered, and from what I saw, it was a goal. You understand? And I mean, the referee ruled that out. But then Alexander Jiku as well, he equalized, he restored parity for the Stars in the second half from a Jordan Ayew corner kick. He headed the ball in there to restore parity 1-1. I was hopeful when it was 1-1. I was thinking that we're going to would come good and then win the game and then fetch all 3 points. But then, for me, I don't think we even deserved to win in the first place. I mean, in as much as we talk about some of the decisions, some of the on-field decisions, there were 2 penalty shouts over there that the referee waved off. But you look at our overall performance.
In favor of Ghana?
Yes, in favor of Ghana. But you look at our overall performance with just 1 shot on target, the entire 98 minutes of the game, plus the first half they added. I think it was about 4 minutes they added. That should be around 102 minutes of the game. We had just 1 shot on target. It was discouraging. There's this German player of ours, Yeboah, or so they call him. He came on. He actually started the game, and I was surprised that our coach, Chris Hutton, decided that he was going to opt for him to lead our attack. He was lethargic. He was listless. I couldn't for the life of me understand why that decision. And for me personally, and I think that a lot of Ghanaians share in my sentiments, that we lost that game partly due to the decision of Chris Hutton, our referee. There were some calls that he made in the game that, left people outstanding. How would you start this guy who is relatively not played any game for the Black Stars, his very first match, his leading attack against Cape Verde in the Africa Cup of Nations? And for him to have even lasted the entire first half, for me, it was a shocker. It was a surprise. So I'm not surprised we lost anyway. We deserved to lose. Anything other than a loss would have been a surprise.
I think saying we deserve to lose is so hard.
No, we deserved to lose.
There's been some efforts put in,
What was the effort? I can single out.
Was it a bad game?
It was a bad game.
How?
It was a bad game. I don't know what your interest particularly.
Perhaps your excitement wasn't,
No. I don't know.
Heightened.
No. I don't know what your interest particularly in football is like. But if you're a football person and if you look at our game, you look at the goals that were scored against Ghana yesterday. The first goal. The second goal put the rubbish, like utter rubbish.
We're going to go into that extensively.
The second goal, utter rubbish.
I just want to welcome anyone who just joined in. Thank you so much for always choosing us. We are your hosts for the Good Morning Africa show on Pan-African Television. My name is OHEMAA Chanjikum, and I'm here with Bless Koku Aloma. So we're going to furnish you with some.
But before we proceed, though, my last bits on the Stars game, yes. So yesterday, I'd want to single out our defender, Alexander Jiku. He actually won man of the match. We lost the game, but he won man of the match. A defender. One man of the match. This to tell you how shambolic we were yesterday. A defender, one man of the match, despite the fact that we lost the game. Not the Cape Verdean player, not a Cape Verdean player. A Ghanaian player who is a defender, meaning that he had to do so much in defense. We're so poor, our attack was so poor, and your boy leading our attack once again, like Chris Hutton. Why? Well, he doesn't know the Ghanaian people.
Anyway, our exciting and educative segments are back. We're going to show you around town. We're going to, have certain conversations on that segment, as well as auto check is on. We're going to finish you with the newspaper headlines, but Bless will come later with the newspaper review segment. So, Bless, what do you have?
Right. So I'm going to begin with the newspapers, and of course we'll do the Daily Graphic first. I beg your pardon, which is Ghana's oldest newspaper. It says truth and accuracy every day. The banner headline says restructuring external debt. 2 economists predict growth. Ekumfi Asaman Chidomhema demands Mills's autopsy report. Family directs Queen to AMA 37 Military Hospital for copies. Stories on page 13. Nana Kwame Bediako unveils presidential bid. Nana Kwame Bediako.
Cheddar.
Oh, right. Cheddar. Have you? There's something making the rounds about his, I don't want to call it grass to grace story, maybe from grace to grace story, about how I cannot authenticate the veracity or otherwise of this, but according to what is making the rounds, Cheddar's rich father gave his brothers, he and his brother, money to fend for their parents.
To fend for their parents?
To fend for their mother, who is poor.
Okay.
Then the brother decided to use the money to buy bread.
What's bread? What's going on?
Bread and egg. The brother was using the money to buy bread and egg. Whilst the brother was using the money to...
Chibum.
Yes. Whilst the brother was using the money to buy bread and egg, he decided to invest his into poultry business. So he bought 2 fowls. He bought 2 he bought 2 fowls, and so he bought the fowls, and then he started raising them, and within a few months he started selling 200 eggs every month. Then he traveled abroad. He was schooling abroad. Some school be like that. He was selling clothes to his colleagues. So within a short period, he bought a car, and that's how he
blew up. So what are people saying? Are they trying to say this story is just pure fabrication, or it's funny?
It's inspiring.
Very inspiring. Very, very inspiring.
It's high time I got 2 fowls also. See if I can raise them, and then I don't know. Fortune,
and every month you're able to sell 200.
Fortune may just smile at me, and then I'll be selling 200 eggs.
I can't say much.
Right. Anyway. Finally, On the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, 2023 district level elections, representation of women low. That's according to Electoral Commission stories on page 17. So these are the stories trending on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper.
Let's take a look at the Punch. They say daring to be different. Unity Oil CEO advises youth to make 2024 elections violence-free. I'll never disrespect Asantehene Chairman Wontumi Kweku Ohenijan, the new man tipped to retain the Brekumwe seat for NPP. Work on cat leaking roofs nearing completion, and NPP thugs engage in gun battle with forest guards in Sankore. Medimafo Herbal Clinic, best herbal clinic in Ghana.
I think that should be Midimafo.
Hey. Medimafo. You know, it's herbal clinic, so
Medimafo. Hey, diasporas.
Anyway, these are the stories on today's edition of the Punch newspaper.
Right, let's do the new Guardian, the Ghanaian publisher newspaper. It says integrity and professionalism. Pressure mounts on OHEMAA to pick women as running mates. ADB shareholders approve 2 billion Ghana cedis capital injection. Works and Housing Ministry refutes Kenny Japon's claim against Asenso. Stories on page 13. NDC reconciliation turns bloody. Mosquito runs for his life. Azoka, treasurer, beaten. Baumia, Samira mourn with family of bodyguard. Stories on page 8. That's a very sad story.
Yeah,
so I think is it the convoy of the second lady, Samira Baumia, Excellency, was involved in a fatal accident. One person died. 8 other people obtained.
Was she on?
She was, but I understand she came out unscathed. So yeah, I mean that's
It's very unfortunate.
yeah.
May
The soul of that bodyguard rest in peace, and we wish the 8 other persons who are injured, you know, speedy recovery. So there you have it for the Ghanaian publisher newspaper.
Let's do some stories on the Daily Guide newspaper. Mills's family demands autopsy reports. Losing old hands will affect parliament, says the minority. Otumfor charges police over election 2024. Government creditors reach agreement. Obo pushes for Asante Achim South NPP slot, but he vied for the position some time ago and he lost.
Yeah, he failed. Yeah,
and he wants to rerun.
Yeah, a lot of people are running actually. So, then the Ashanti region is actually a hotbed, like very, very hot.
But the concern is that most of the experienced parliamentarians are not going or seeking another term.
They are not seeking re-election. I mean, there has to come a time where they would say that they are drawing curtains on their parliamentary careers. So, yeah. Osechi Mensah Boso, for instance, majority leader of parliament, has been representing the people of, what do we call it? Forgotten his constituency. Where the Swami, yes. Oh. He has been representing Swami, I think, since 97. Yep. Since 1997.
Since 26 years.
Yeah, since 7th January 1997, it's been representing the people. So, so that'll be nearly 28 years in Parliament.
26.
26, right? 26 years in Parliament. So, that's a long time.
A very long time.
So he's decided that, I mean, it's time for me. It's time I bid the people goodbye for another person to contest. So, yeah. And for the Ashanti region, whoever is able to be elected as the parliamentary candidates has a 90% success rate of becoming the member of parliament.
It's the MPP stronghold. So.
Except a few constituencies, you know. Yeah. Like Asawase and some other constituencies. Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you have next?
I've got the Republic Press newspaper. There's a picture of the outgoing member of parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Japong. It says Kennedy Japong bounces back as he threatens revenge against colleague MPs. Tina Mensah hot as Wija Bawe slips through her hands. Nana endorses call for Atamils's autopsy report. Samira's boy buried. TB Joshua expose how the disgraced pastor faked his miracles. Hairdresser, electrician fined 4,800 Ghana cedis each over illegal abortion. Have we had any form of banter on this TB Joshua issue?
I think we had, which resulted in the religion thing. We talked about churches. Yes. I mean, we're supposed to have an extensive conversation on that.
So there you have it for the Republic Press newspaper.
Yes, let's do some stories on the Informer. The banner headline says 2024 polls shouldn't divide Ghana. Fair Sky Boss. Elections 2024, let's pursue peace. Otumfuo urges nation. Mosquito chased away as NDC's unity meeting turns violent. VAT on domestic electricity consumption will worsen plight of consumers, public, and also in search of Baumia's partner, Napo tops all, Kennedy Japan. And lastly, on the Informer newspaper, on patients' medical bills, CAF appeals for assistance. Here are some stories on today's edition of the Informer newspaper.
Right, away from the Informer newspaper, let's do the Daily Searchlight newspaper. The story says, more trouble at Tema Oil Refinery as union chases board, asks for dismissal. Heroic Ghana Burkina Faso trackers patch hand to Highway with bare hands. Wow. Mahama in wild promises galore.
That's a very interesting story.
The wild promises?
No, the one patching the roads with bare hands.
Very interesting. Ghana to host Africa Food Bank Conference 2024. More trouble at I think I've already done that. Tragedy strikes Bawumia campaign. And NAPO is the only credible candidate to partner Dr. Bawumia to defeat John Mahama, Kenny Japan. And so there you have it for the Daily Searchlight newspaper.
Let's do some stories on the Daily Analyst. Samira Baumia's bodyguard laid to rest. We now feel the police in our lives. Otumfuo Hills Dampare. We won't go to the Supreme Court. Mahama charges and says we will win at the polling stations. Sosu initiates community sentences law. Help us get Atta Mills's autopsy report. Mills's family begs Akufo-Addo. Here are some stories on today's edition of the Daily Analyst. Their tagline is without fear or favor. Let's do more stories on the new crusading guide. Fifi Kwete pitches Voltarians against Ashantis as he promotes politicization of ethnic and tribal differences. Researchers petition Shrash over alleged administrative negligence of Enchi forestry officers. And also Kennedy Japan lied about Asenso Boache and myself on Mahene Kwabna Sante best out. Magdan wins CISCM Man of the Year 2023 award. BIP will address Ghana's unemployment challenges. YEA CEO. More stories on today's edition of the New Crusading Guide.
Right, now away from that, let me proceed to the Insight newspaper. The Insight newspaper, there's a picture of former President John Dramani Mahama. It says Mahama, he promises to scrap 1% e-levy tax. Incredible. Ghana spent $349 million on importation of toilet paper. Toilet paper, $349 million.
I thought toilet papers were produced here in Ghana.
Well, we don't. Gaso filling station manager, storekeeper remanded after allegedly duping station over 1.2 million Ghana cedis. Nidodu Clote family appoints new family head. Stories on page 5. Genocide as pattern and policy. ICJ hears South Africa's case against Israel. There you have it for the front page of the Inside newspaper. Visit the InsideNewsOnline.com to read some of these stories, or better, grab a copy at any newspaper stand for just 4 Ghana cedis.
The issue of the newspapers, though, I mean the toilet paper. Why aren't we able to produce toilet papers in Ghana?
Well, a question for the gods.
Isn't it the list of the things we can do here in the country?
Question for the gods. I mean, there used to be this tissue paper.
Rose. I was going to ask that. Even rose isn't produced in Ghana.
I'm sure rose is. I'll be surprised if it isn't. But I'm sure that maybe they are unable to meet the demands of Ghanaians in terms of, quantity. You understand? Their capacity to produce, to meet our demands, I'm sure. But when last did you see rose?
I'm telling you, I don't even remember. I can't even remember.
Rose,
It was
though.
hard and
Brown.
very brown. My goodness.
So you see, so the question has been, or the concern has always been that if we are producing them, we should produce well. Because if you compare, I'm not here to malign any Ghanaian company or to say that we do not do quality stuff. But when you compare what we produce and how we do it, how we package it, and you compare it to what is coming from overseas, the difference is humongous. Like,
It's just very evident.
very so evident that, I mean, there's a lot more we need to do as a people.
Rose. Anyway, happy Rose, everyone. Let's do more stories on the Inquisitor, redefining objectivity. Murky agenda against SML. 10 million Ghana cedis set for distraction work. National security probes into fake contract. Ken on NPP running mates. And Napo is the only credible person to partner Baumia. Multimedia's Oman Hene disowns Akompreko.
That's Kennedy Japan's Monica.
Oh.
Yes. Akompreko.
Oh.
Yeah.
Akompreko. What does it mean?
I seriously don't know. But that's how
I'm supposed to know because I'm Ashanti.
Akompreko.
Okay.
Kennedy Akompreko in Japan. Yeah.
So multimedia's Oman Hene disowns Akompreko on Asenso Boache, and Magdan is CISCM Man of the Year for 2023. Professor Jampo, crusade against corruption must be driven by competence, sincerity, not hatred, and ignorance.
Right. Let me do the Daily Analyst newspaper. The biggest story on the front page says 2024 election will want to go to the Supreme Court. Mahama charges and says will win at the polling station. Decongestion of prisons. Sosu initiates community sentences law. Help us get at Mills' autopsy report. Mills' family begs Kufuado. And we now feel the police in our lives. So Tomfo hails Dampare. Finally, Samira Baumia's bodyguard laid to rest. Samira's Baumia's bodyguard laid to rest. They have it for the Daily Analyst newspaper.
And finally for me is the new publisher. Baumia's sweetheart escapes death. Convoy crash kills 1, injures 8. I won't campaign for MPP if Napo is not running, mate Kennedy Japan. NDC General Secretary endorse tribal politics. We still don't know what's killed Atta Mills. Family runs to Akufo-Addo.
All right.
How long has he been?
You see,
gone?
sometimes I don't know what the editorial policies of these newspapers are and how they go about with their headlines.
And stories.
You understand? You see, like if you take this is what paper is that?
The new publisher.
Okay, so you take the new publisher for instance. Baumia's sweetheart escapes death. Convoy crash kills 1, injures 8. Do you know what? Do you know what this does? In my estimation, it reduces the significance
of that one person who died.
Yes, that is what it does. It reduces the significance of that one person who died. You understand? Can't this be written or couched in another way where more emphasis is placed?
Some of it,
more value, exactly. But I mean, sometimes
not to compare, but some have highlighted the death of that one person.
Some intend. I mean, we know your political alienations and all of that, but sometimes be sensitive.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I mean, we know your political leanings. Most of a chunk, 95% of these papers have political affiliations. We understand, but sometimes be sensitive in your reportage, be sensitive in your headlines. You have watered down. I mean, fine. The second lady is safe. We thank God. Nice. But then you do not highlight. This is not important to you. Like, I mean, it's sad for me personally.
Anyway. Now let's do your last story.
Well,
I know.
My last paper, the New Trust newspaper, I don't know what paper is it. It's my first time seeing it. Seriously.
It looks very...
Seriously. You know, before I proceed, let me tell you something briefly about Comrade Pratt's, I don't want to say opinion, but...
His opinion on what?
On some of these newspapers. So some of them, they do not produce on a daily basis. They do not come up with stories on a daily basis. One, somebody gives them money to run a particular story. That's when they produce the paper. Yes. Oh, no, I'm not referring to this paper.
One, I understand.
I mean, some of the papers. So there's one that comes, according to him, there's one that even comes like twice in a year.
You don't say. As and when.
Yes. They have somebody gives them money to, you know.
So the objective is not to propagate information.
No.
Aha.
Right. So the New Trust newspaper says Afuano Southwestern PP primaries. Elvis Dapa showcases unprecedented achievements, urges delegates to vote number 1 for him. 2024 elections will be decided at polling stations, not Supreme Court. JDM declares Napo is ideal running mate for NPP's 2024 victory, says Kenny Japong. Asantehene urges police vigilance ahead of 2024 polls. There you have it for the New Trust newspaper.
All right, so this brings us to the end of our newspaper headline segment. Let's do auto check after the break. This is the mobile check segment where you're educated on how and, you know, when certain attention should be given to your car. Now, today we are taking a look at the alternator in a car. Today, when I was told about an alternator, I'm like, what's that again? I asked Bless. And okay, we found out what an alternator is, but we're going to go in depth in the video we're going to show you. Take a look.
Hello, my auto checkers. Today is yet another day, and we are going to talk more about knowing when your alternator or your generator is going off or is off. This is what we call the alternator. This is what normally, anytime you start the vehicle, there is always a belt here that turns with an engine. And it sends power, or when it's turning, it provides electrical current that in turn charges your battery. This car, okay, today we are standing in front of a GMC, which has its battery here. What happens is that any power that is generated from this alternator is directed straight into the battery, recharge it, and it holds most of the power that is in the vehicle, like your radio, your tape, every other thing, your tape, your horn, everything is being powered by the alternator. Anytime you are driving and your fan belt or your serpentine belt gets torn, what you're supposed to know is that this alternator will no longer be spinning and it will not be generating power. And anytime your belt and everything is functional and it spins without generating power, it simply tells you that your alternator is going bad. These are some of the things you notice anytime your alternator is going bad. What happens is that when you are driving, it gets to a point where you notice that the vehicle becomes sluggish. When it becomes sluggish, it means that the power that is supposed to go to your PCM, your BCM, your ECM, like all the other controls, is being reduced because there's no power coming in. And at that point, the vehicle will solely be relying on the battery. And as it is relying on the battery, what you are supposed to know is that over time, the battery will drain out and the vehicle will go off. Most automatic cars will go off. Some manual cars will still hold on to power, take you to wherever you are going without the battery, even though the battery is gone. But then with the automatic cars, what happens is that it relies more on the battery. So which means that the alternator plays a major role or a key role in getting the vehicle to wherever you are going at a particular time. Anytime you are driving in the night and you realize that everything is functional, your belt and everything is functional, but then you realize that when you are driving, your headlight begins to dim. Without you turning it onto the dim, your radio goes off and on. Mostly, it turns out that your alternator is not functioning well. And that can leave you on the road. So anytime you get to the workshop, what I normally do as a mechanic, when my clients come, after working on their vehicles, I normally plug in my diagnostic machine to check and see if the alternator or the generator is providing the right amount of voltage that is supposed to. Some alternators go bad gradually. Others also go bad, it just goes off. You know, the ones that go bad gradually is even worse than the one that just goes off. Because anytime it's going bad gradually, it goes bad with the battery. Because the amount of power or the amount of electrical voltage that is supposed to go from here to the battery is less. And in turn, it weakens the battery as a result of that. So I always advise people that anytime a mechanic or your electrician tells you that your alternator is going bad, try as much as possible to change it. I agree that yes, it can be repaired, but I don't recommend that. Try as much as possible to change it because it will save you a lot. Mostly or sometimes this alternator can break at a place where you wouldn't get some, which means you'll be stranded. So try as much as possible to always change it anytime you're being advised.
And that was an elaborate video of how to diagnose and take care of your alternator. An alternator is a machinery in your car that helps your engine. At least that's a little knowledge I have on that. Thank you so much for choosing us as your source of information, education, and entertainment. You're still watching Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. Now, up next is Around Town, where the conversation is about the Ebri Garden. So somewhere in 2019, the intention to privatize the tourist attraction emerged, where the king of that traditional area or chief of that traditional area also was in favor of the privatization of the Ebri Botanical Gardens. But the people of the traditional area opposed of this very intention. Stanley Kobla Aku has a documentary on what exactly is happening, and also the very state of the tourist site currently, and the conversations around its privatization. Take a look.
Chrono Apostle. Now, as I say, energy that is very conform. Upon you, meaning you must be one like you was Yamia Chrono and Yapato. She tell woman, a little chrono moves. I put botanical than the better. Captain Pian Mabry, Captain Pian Quadriviano, Jensen assassinated. Now she am poor. If said, give me my young piano, it took me said, and also I'm a grown up.
That is what he thinks. But when I came, and with the little that I've come to add to, they have started realizing that through self-help, small, and with a little help from the government, we can do it ourselves. Garden is the only one in West Africa. Yes, when it is well done, well managed, people from the other West African countries will also come here and do research. Currently, as we speak, we are collaborating with some students, some from University of Ghana, and we are trying to propagate some palm plants that are in the wild. They went to parts of Cote d'Ivoire, parts of Burkina Faso, and brought those seeds, which we have nursed. See, we are trying to domesticate most of the plants in the wild and introduce them into the landscape. So I'm looking forward for something like that, a good research center, which is one of the reasons why the gardens was established.
Ebiri, a 45-minute drive from Ghana's capital city, Accra, is located in the eastern region on the Kwapim-Togo Range. Ebiri Botanical Gardens is located in this peaceful environment with its mountainous and green area, serving as one of the finest destinations to enjoy a cool breeze. Its total land is about 160 acres, with only 3 acres developed. The rest of the land was used as a botanical reserve. Situated on top of the lofty Kwapim Mountain, the garden was opened in March 1890 and was founded by Governor William Branford Griffiths and Dr. John Farrell Esmond. Before the garden was established, it was used as a site of a sanatorium built in 1875 for Gold Coast government officials. In view of its geographical position on the mountain, with various tropical tree species, the town became a haven for both foreign and local tourists. This has made the name Ebiri become synonymous with that of the gardens. In previous years, Ebiri Botanical Gardens became a big tourist attraction, putting the small Ebiri township on the tourism map of the world. Averagely, 93 people visit Ebiri Gardens daily, with majority of visitors who would have wished to stay for a day or two are compelled to return, as rooms do not provide any comfort. The number of tourists to Ebiri Botanical Gardens has been dwindling for years. In 2019, Chief of Ebiri, Otubo Chan Kwesi II, made an appeal to government to consider privatizing the Ebiri Botanical Garden to facelift its potentials in developing a Ebiri community. He reaffirmed the appeal on a phone call interview on Peace FM in Accra.
Yeah. You see, Ebiri Botanical Gardens, you know, as you think, ama yen kuro no akoso na esa se esa abanga so energy that is very confirm apa yini minimum nyuma bebre wona ye won ye me ya kuro no enya to faso sika wo mu no ebi ko kuro no mu aburi botanical garden be tsa tapre bia ma aburi tapre bia ko jini bia ho kenso na asase ne ye na so ye ko ho if the king ma yan ni no it can be said and also I'm a kuro no ko
2023, and the major question we should be asking is privatization an alternative to solving the problems of Ibri Botanical Garden? 3 years ago, Ibri Hini of this community made an appeal to the president, the Republic President Anadurango Akufo-Addo, to privatize the Ibri Botanical Garden to raise its standards. The major question is that an alternative? And how would that be an impact to the working people of this community and those who work here? The Ibri Botanical Garden has been the major garden and the only garden in West Africa, and one of the greatest and the biggest garden on the African continent. Many questions should be asked. Meet 63-year-old Ekufo, who has been working in the gardens for over 40 years. He tells the team about his experience and how things has become very difficult, making workers to resort to other means for survival.
My enthusiasm is still pending, but we've short of workers. Due to that, our extending of work has gone down, which we need governments to come in with support so that the management also can have new hands to come and help us to upgrade. Yeah.
When you talk about, you've lost workers, what exactly send the workers away?
At first we were many. Before you get to the botanic garden, the workers that we have them here, some died, some goes on pension, some also stop working.
Why did they stop?
But as time goes, then if you feel to stop, you stop. That was in my time. They employed about 40, 45 workers, but due to the hardship of the work, they couldn't stand. So they left.
The hardship of the work.
The hardship of the work, because in those days the labor force was there.
With statistics, it can be explained that there were at least 34,000 visitors in 2021, but the garden recorded about 26,000 visitors in 2022, representing an 8,000 drop in just a year. The entry fee for visitors is 10 Ghana cedis, but monies accrued goes directly into consolidated fund, and managers of the gardens are required to write to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development before any money is released to it for rehabilitation or expansion work. Richard Ajekwan Forson is creator of Ibri Botanical Gardens. He believes any attempt to privatize the gardens would not emerge its fortunes. Thus, internal structures must be consolidated to build the progress of the gardens.
When I came back, I could see that there had been a lot of changes here, which some of them I didn't like, in fact. So I tried to at least bring what I had. And so I added a few to what I saw was not very good. And then little by little, within these 7 months, there's been a little change, which I am very much happy with. Well, I have not solved all the problems. I saw that the working force had come down. Then most of the workers, the rest that we have, are aged. That is what he thinks. But when I came, and with the little that I've come to add to, they have started realizing that through self-help, small, and with a little help from the government, we can do it ourselves. There has been a lot of talks with government, and then, yes, government has heard it in good. Yes. So all the monies that we generate from hence we are going to retain 33% of it, so that with this 33% we can use it to run the This botanic garden is the only one in West Africa. Yes, when it is well done, well managed, people from the other West African countries will also come here and do research. Currently, as we speak, we are collaborating with some students, some from University of Ghana, and we are trying to propagate some palm plants that are in the wild. They went to parts of Cote d'Ivoire, parts of Burkina Faso, and brought those seeds, which we have nursed. See, we are trying to domesticate most of the plants in the wild and introduce them into the landscape. So I'm looking forward for something like that, a good research center, which is one of the reasons why the gardens was established. But we are not seeing anything like that. But it is my dream that it will come and then stay.
It is evident that, resorts into privatizing the Goood Botanical Garden cannot be the last resort for the country. Another alternative must be materialized, that is using our own means to secure bringing up the very standards of a Goood Botanical Garden. From a Goood, Stanley Koblako.
And that has been Stanley Kovlaku. Big shout out to Stanley for bringing us that information on Around Town. Thank you so much for staying with us. Up next is the newspaper review segment with Bless Kokwaloma. So I came your way with the newspaper headline segments. My name is OHEMAA Echa Ajikum. Keep watching. Have a good day.